Section C of A Different View. This recording is Section C of A Different View. Now in this section I want us to really seriously take a look at something we wouldn't normally think, because when we think of the idea of religion, we think of some church or temple or synagogue or all of these myriad of different things. We're out in the woods and we're doing this and doing that. I mean, that's what we usually think of when we think of religion. But I'm looking at what religion really is. All of those things that call themselves religion are borrowing the word religion. Okay? I'm looking at the word religion for what it really is, and based off the word religare, which is to tie a bunch of things together and present them as one thing. Alright? So when we look at religions of darkness, these are things that you're not going to usually think of as religion. But really, in fact, they are. And they have the same effect. That's what I want you to see. Let's jump into this with something that's going to be so blatant and clear and easy to see in the times in which we live that it's going to be ridiculous. You're going to make the leap and go, oh yes, correct. And then we'll go from there, because some of them are going to be kind of tricky. It's not going to be something that I could just present to you real quick and you go, oh yeah, of course. But this one, I'm going to present this to you and you're going to say, oh yes, of course, it is religion. And that is the ideologies that came out of the communism of Stalin and Mao Zedong of Russia and China in the not too distant past. Both these guys are dead. And may I say, in nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti, I'm glad they're dead, because their ideologies were destroying lots of stuff. But what they were prescribing to people, literally prescribing to people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, was religion. It was a religion. But the religion produced these the religion produced these ideologies that said religion is poison, yet it was a religion. It produced these ideologies that said there's no such thing as God, and we, the commissars of the communist thing, are the gods. We set the rules. We tell you, because this is a giant commune and we're running it. This is a religion. If you sit back and think about that for a moment, you will see how so very true that is. These are religious ideologies. And these same religious ideologies that came out of that system, those two systems are actually a system, the system of communism. Those two things that those two systems are actually the communist system. The communist system, it's got its little branches here and its little branches there. Nothing like that. Hopefully history never sees another thing like that again. That was pretty bad. However, that really was a religion of darkness, a religion void of light. Look at the people it tortured. And I'm not talking about, oh, you're a political opposition of us, so we're going to torture you. I'm talking about regular people that are like starving to death because all of these ideologies and all of these things they base their religion on is destroying the planet that they're living on. Okay, people are like starving to death. I'm not joking. Starving to death in horrible conditions, and none of it was necessary. The only thing that was necessary to the rulers, the gods, if you will, of the Communist Party, was that Our ideologies are supreme. Shut up and do what we say. That was the only thing that was important to them. And you're not allowed to believe in anything higher than us. We are the highest thing there is. These people were gods. False, fake, lying gods. Did any of their stuff, did any of their ideologies, did any of their belief systems, did anything they did, was it tied and was it aligned with the cosmos, with the real truth of this is how the universe works? Here's physics. Here's how things are. Here's the ecosystem. This is what's going on. I mean, look at it. Most of the stuff, you could say, no, it didn't. It was foolishness. But to them, it was their religion. They were preaching it day and night, inculcating people's minds, generation after generation, until all of them were on board and they were too scared to say or do a damn thing about it. Because they caught you off in the middle of the night and you'd end up in Siberia, or Mao would do some horrible thing to you, or Mao's people rather would do some horrible thing to you, and hey, who wants that? Not me, that's for damn sure. But when you really look at it, is it not a religion of no religion? Is it not really a religion? Is it not? But a religion of darkness, because it is spewing ideologies that are completely out of alignment with the righteousness system, that completely make suffering because it's out of alignment with the righteousness system, that completely make unhappiness because it's out of alignment with the righteousness system, that completely make dread and fear because it's out of alignment with the righteousness system. Holy criminy man. Think about it. Now, these things, this was a phenomena of the early 20th century and into the mid 20th century and even way into the 20th century. Now, I want you to draw a connection here because I want you to understand something that's affecting us in the 21st century. It's affecting us now. But it's affecting us now because the righteousness system was hijacked so friggin' long ago that nobody knows, oh wait, there's a gold standard to everything, isn't there? Like nobody gets it. Like literally nobody. Not the highest religious figure on earth. I mean, nobody literally understands this anymore because it's gone. It's gone. It's being put back now. Hopefully through these recordings, this is going to trigger a bunch of stuff. But it is gone. That's why the planet is running insane paradigms. Let's look at a phenomena of today, 2016, 2017. Let's look at pollution for one thing. Pollution comes because of ideologies. Now, let me throw this at you, since I quoted some Latin earlier. In nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Now the et Filii guy is the Son. Okay, now let me throw this at you. A quote from Jesus Christ, and let me throw this in just in case you will understand. I am a person that actually believes a lot in these things that I'm talking about. A lot of the things that I talk about are of a spiritual nature, of a religious nature, and I come from a Christian background. Would I consider myself a church person? Hell no! I am not a church person. Do not think that for a second. I consider them ideologues to the extreme, and I think they're doing bad stuff. But do I believe that the Bible is a very, very cool thing to explore and look into? Hell yes. Now, on the other side of that coin, do I think that the Bible is like, this is the perfect Word of God and completely unchanged and untainted, and every single syllable, every single word is anointed by the power of the majesty of the holiness of God itself. Amen. No, I don't think that. I think certain sentences have been switched around. I think when you start translating it from this language to that language to that language to that language to that languages, it loses stuff. I think under the guise of the Christian faith of the Roman Empire type, certain sentences were added, certain paragraphs were shifted around to change the meaning a bit here and there, and it's not everywhere, it's in certain little places. So I'm not like one of these people that go, well, no, it's the absolute dynamic truth of the Word of God, and don't do no. I think those people are suffering from religious ideology. I really truly do. I'm looking at things from the point of view of, hey, what is the real truth? The real truth is, these are translations. I think if you go back to the original stuff, you'll get really, really good info. But, you're talking about Greek, and you're talking about languages that aren't even really used anymore, so, but in essence, yes, I believe the Bible is a fantastic, great book. I believe it's filled with wisdom. Not only do I believe it's filled with wisdom, I believe that at a certain level of physics, the highest level, it is in fact a physics manual. That's my take. My take is also that I do think the book itself was put here through the assistance of the creative force itself to help us out so we can see a little more clearly. The reason I'm telling you all that is because I'm about to throw a quote from the Christ at you so I can explain something in this section. Because we're going to talk about the ideology, which is the religion of darkness, surrounding pollution on this planet, and why it is and what it's all about. Now here's the quote. Ready? The love of money is the root of all evil, and the intent of that sentence is actually on this planet. Okay? The love of money is the root of all evil. Now, of course, this was spun into massive ideologies for centuries. That is the darkness within the religious system itself of Catholicism, Christianity, etc., etc., etc. This one little phrase here was spun into all kinds of ideologies to get people to think, oh, poverty's great, so give me your money. It's ridiculous. But, hey, I'm looking at the historical value of this, and I'm telling you right now, this one little sentence here, which is recorded as a quote from the Christ, which says the love of money is the root of all evil, was spun into a myriad of really, really wicked, dark understandings that have nothing to do with the Creator, have nothing to do with righteousness, have nothing to do with our empowerment, our enlightenment, our environment, or the universe flowing through us, as in the ebb and flow of the life force of the universe itself. But it's a very profound statement, and it has everything to do with pollution, and it has everything to do with the religion of darkness surrounding pollution in this day and time. Because you see, this one little take here, where the Christ says, the love of money is the root of all evil. He's actually talking about greed. Now remember that this Christ guy always thinks in universal terms. He doesn't think in little tiny terms. He thinks in great big terms, because this guy's tied to the cosmos. Like parts of the cosmos are actually running through this guy. I believe that anyway. And I would go to my death believing it. That's why I think that's why I think the Christian religion should not be allowed to be destroyed, because there's so much goodness in it. But I think it needs to be reevaluated, which we talked about earlier, so we don't need to beat a dead horse here. However, this one thing talks about pollution and a myriad of other things, but we're just going to look at pollution right now. So here you go. Let me connect the dots for you on this one. And by the way, we're aiming this at the here and now world as it is right now, 2016, 2017, and beyond. Okay? We're not talking about 2,000 years ago. Although it was true 2,000 years ago, but they didn't have the same kind of levels of pollution that was about to come, which we now live in this time, where it actually is. Okay? So, understand that, please. So this is aimed at 2016, 2017, and beyond. Okay? The reality of now, where you're listening to this right now. By the time of Nikola Tesla, science had already understood the ramifications of pollution, not to the point where they understand today because they didn't have the measurements, but they already understood. Hey, here's things you do, here's things you don't do because it destroys the planet. They already understood that. Now, if you don't know who Nikola Tesla is, I'm going to tell you right now, shame on you. I'm also going to tell you that it is my full, unbridled belief that God, whatever God actually is, not the stuff we hear in church, whatever God actually is, put Nikola Tesla on this planet. And the guy was sort of like here for a purpose. And that poor guy could have been living a life of wonderment and riches beyond all imagination, but instead he got tortured and suffered because he wanted to help the populations more than he wanted to get rich and live a supremely great life. This man lived a life of sacrifice. He was a great genius, mad scientist. And this earth, as it is now in 2016, 2017, owes him a bow, owes him a handshake, owes him a lot. So if you don't know who Nikola Tesla is, that's why I say shame on you. If you live in the Western world and you don't know who Nikola Tesla is, please understand the guy's work can still help us as we go to shift the paradigm. He is part of the creative force on this planet, not some stupid religious bullshit ideology. I'm talking the real live creative force on this planet. Okay? He's part of that. Now, science was already well aware by this time. And this is the beginning of when the industrial age really started stepping up. I mean, Nikola Tesla's the guy that gave us AC and a buttload of a bunch of different other things. But he's the guy that gave us AC. So imagine what was life like before electricity. Okay, that's how far back we're talking. Now, science already understood this thing. So as the industrial age crept in and the industrialists started getting more and more money and started going, oh, how can we make even more and more money? Science already knew. Hey, look, man, you don't pour gasoline into the drinking water. It's not good for people. And that's what they used to do, by the way. Just pour it in the river. You don't do all kinds of the stuff that they do even today in the rainforest in South America. They do it every day, still to this day. This is the 21st century. Think about it. Because it's going to kill people and destroy their friggin' lives. You don't do this stuff. But they do it. Why do they do it? They do it because of greed. They do it because of what this phrase that the Christ was recorded as saying. The love of money is the root of all evil. And he was talking about the whole planet because that's how he thinks. You see? So let's connect the dots even a little more. And we will do that in the next section.